This is the Fifth Estate Winning Headlines, your media police post coming to you from Nairobi, Kenya, from the RUTO School of Government. In this segment, we summarize some of the headlines you may have missed this morning. But we also take a look at some of the political pieces that we call cartoons in this country. Today is the 23rd of November, 2022, and I'm 2M.
I am DK.
And I am 2J. And in case you missed today's headlines, here they are. In the Daily Nation, maize, Korea faces tsunami. In the Standard, new school fees burden for parents. The Star, why wash threatens your job. And in the People Daily, storm over maize as MPs fight imports. Moses Kuria.
Moses Kuria everywhere. We see in the dailies today, he is facing tsunamis and storms over the fleet of ship offloading 10,000 tons of maize. This maize arrives in the midst of the GMO controversy. And we want to ask this. Did Moses Kuria bring this upon himself, or are there other players in this game that we don't see? We will let you decide for today, but let's take a quick look back at the events that have taken us to this controversy. So on the 3rd of October, Cabinet, which you have to remember it was Uhuru's cabinet, lifted the ban on GMO following recommendations from a 2013 task force. Then fast forward last week Thursday, Kuria told Kenyans that there is no harm in adding GMO to the list of the very many things that can kill you in this country. This statement, of course, sparked outrage. The church, led by Archbishop Muheria of the Catholic Church, termed Kuria's utterances reckless, disrespectful, and asked Kuria to apologize. Then Raila, who has been on a break, also came out and disagreed with this move to allow GMO, citing environmental and health implications of the GMOs. Then this Monday, the Kenya Ports Authority, KPA, released a statement saying that 37 vessels carrying duty-free GMO maize are expected at the port of Mombasa. Remember, this comes after CS Moses Kuria's decision last week to allow duty-free importation of 10 million bags of GMO maize over the next 6 months. In his statement, Kuria said that a gazette notice would be issued to authorize the importation, which would be shipped by the private sector. The gazette was to be signed last Friday, but has yet to be released. Yet, despite the gazette not yet being issued, it is said that a vessel already, the African Marlin, is carrying bulk maize and empty bags, has already arrived at the, or rather, it had already arrived on Monday. This has been confirmed by the vessel trackers and shows that the ship arriving at the port of Mombasa at 10:17 p.m. on Monday night. Then yesterday, Tuesday, 22nd November, section of 30 MPs from Rift Valley and Western region issued press release and threatened to impeach Moses Kuria. Led by South Pokot MP David Kosing, he said that a trade minister should come from where maize is grown, not from where they grow potatoes. Now, what we are seeing here is that barely 70 days in office, President Ruto's government has released a small bomb of its new policies. The outcry is for decisions to be stopped and overruled. That is why some of us are opposed, some of us want GMOs. Not a book, in our opinion, we don't think this is a good beginning for a new government. But this could also be a steep learning for Ruto's government. In the meantime, ladies and gentlemen, stay alert to the next episode of Kuria Maize Saga.
So of course, as we've said, this week alone, Ruto's cabinet has been the bearer of bad news.
Right.
One has told the country that we are now a GMO nation and that eating it will kill us. Another has told the diaspora to remain where they are. He has told us that there are no jobs in our failing economy and remittances will keep us going. On top of insecurity, drought, and the cost of living, the hustler dream is nowhere in sight.
Yeah.
But are things really as bad as we are being made to believe? Or is the president lowering our expectations on purpose? Now, Pablo Picasso, the very famous artist, once remarked, "It is the best calculation is the absence of calculation. Once you have attained a certain level of recognition, others generally figure that when you do something, it's for an intelligent reason. So it's really foolish to plot out your movements too carefully in advance. You're better off acting impulsively." And I want to tell you that this lesson made him a very rich man. Now, for a while, Picasso worked with the art dealer called Paul Rosenberg. Now, at first, he allowed this Rosenberg a fair amount of latitude in handling his paintings. He always engaged with him.
Yes.
Then one day, for no apparent reason, he told this Rosenberg man he would never work with him again. And as Picasso explained, Rosenberg would spend the next 3 days trying to figure out why. Was I reserving things for some other dealer? Picasso would then go on working and living his life, while Rosenberg would spend his time unsettled and confused. Days later, Rosenberg will come back very anxious, and he would offer Picasso double what he originally proposed for that painting. Now, why do I give this story? William RUTO has learned one very important lesson. Do not be specific with your plans. Embrace vagueness. And he learned this courtesy Uhuru Kenyatta and the Jubilee administration. Uhuru told country he would buy laptops for primary schools, introduce universal health care, open thousands of affordable homes, and make us drink more Brookside until we were sick. Okay, I'm joking about the last one. But the point is simple. While Uhuru succeeded in achieving many of his plans, he had become too predictable. And this is because he told us where he wanted to go, so that when he finally failed to reach his destination, critics were waiting to mock him.
Yeah.
And maybe we are reading this wrong. But this vagueness that RUTO is using might be the first decision that he made as president after winning the election. The RUTO campaign machine was direct, focused, and quick. But the presidential machine is slow, unpredictable, and shapeless. The key is for Mr. RUTO to keep the public's expectations low, so that even when he achieves the smallest of accomplishments, we will clap for him. This is the only thing that can explain the sad and confusing state of the country right now. William RUTO is being deliberately unpredictable. Behavior that seems to have no consistency or purpose will keep people off balance. And Kenyans will wear themselves out trying to explain his moves. Maybe it explains why when he met the South Korean president, he was wearing no socks.
No socks.
Did you guys see that?
Yeah, there's so much conversation about that picture. But anyway, on Monday, we asked country what President William RUTO would do if he felt there was a threat to undermine his presidency from within. Today, I want to take country back to 1982, a few days before the August coup. David Musila, then Central Kenya's provincial commissioner, received a call from State House Comptroller Abraham Kiptanui informing him that President Moi would be spending the night of 30th July 1982 at Sagana State Lodge. Arap Moi had been scheduled to attend the Nyeri Agricultural Show on that day. And so, on 29th July, as was customary, PC Musila traveled to Nairobi to escort the head of state back to Nyeri the following day. On the material day, Musila went to State House Nairobi, where he had breakfast with Moi. When it was time to leave for Nyeri, Arap Moi pulled Musila aside and whispered to him, PC, you should allow all the arrangements for the presidential visit at Sagana State Lodge to continue as planned. But do not tell anyone about my change of plans. I will not sleep at Sagana. And so they left for Nyeri. After the function, Moi called Musila and asked him to accompany him to Nakuru State Lodge, where Moi would spend the night. During dinner at State House Nakuru, Moi turned to Musila and said, there are some elements trying to plunge Kenya into anarchy. Chungeni inchi, take care of country. Exactly 24 hours later, Moi had been overthrown by elements from the Kenya Air Force, at least for a few hours. But that's not the story. The story is Moi for months was well aware of the coup. And that is why he did not stay in Nyeri. You see, Nyeri was right next to the Nanyuki Air Base, the coup's epicenter. But why let the coup happen, you may ask? The reason was, if he crashed the coup successfully, it would give him the perfect opportunity to create hegemony. It would get rid of the chokehold Kikuyus had on his government. In the period before 1982, Charles Jonjo, Gigi Karaoke, JJ Kamotho used to ride in the same limousine as Moi. They thought Moi's presidency was a passing cloud and they were the power behind the throne. Moi figured if he got rid of the 3 Kenyatta orphans, it would give him the perfect opportunity to start afresh. And that's exactly what Moi did. The coup was a means to an end to politically sort out Kema. What's my point here? The Kikuyus around RUTO today are no different. Some openly say they gave RUTO nearly 50% of his vote. Some openly support rival parties and deviate from the ruling party positions. Some threaten to shove GMO down our throats. Question is, if RUTO graduated from the Moi School of Politics, do you think he would simply sit down and watch Kikuyus executing schemes behind his back and do nothing? Zero. But more importantly, if RUTO wants to politically get rid of Kikuyus, what crisis does he need?
Wow. All right. God forbid. All right. On that note, we have a 3-part criteria that we use to judge the headlines by. We ask ourselves, is the headline topical or speculative, repetitive or groundbreaking, and finally thoughtful or just plain lazy? Again, we have 2 back-to-back maize-related headlines from the Daily Nation. Maize, Korea faces tsunami, and the People Daily storm over maize as MPs fight imports. I want to suggest that this is still topical, but the dailies are not advancing the conversation much further. I want to suggest we toss the Daily Nation and the People Daily. The Standard, new school fees burden for parents. This is in relation to public school fees increase that's supposed to come in January 2023. The government has ended its subsidies. Bad news continues. I suppose out of respect for the parents who are educating their children, we will park the Standard.
Yes.
The Star, why is wash going to threaten your job? So the context here is that Kenya has been failing to fight money laundering efforts, and it could find us being cut off the international finance system. So the Eastern and South African Anti-Money Laundering Group has warned that if Kenya does nothing, we may not be able to send or receive money from international financial markets.
Then we'll all join wash.
Right, we may as well. This also is quite strange because if Alfred Mutua has told all the Kenyans in South Korea to stay so that they can remit money back home, how will they remit the money? I think this was quite an interesting headline, though I do not see the connection between wash and my job being threatened.
Yes. Nonetheless, I would buy the newspaper.
I would buy the newspaper as well.
So, do we keep it? Do we trash it?
The winning headline is The Star. All right, on to the political pieces that we call cartoons, but we also have a 3-part criteria. On Wednesdays, we ask good or bad. I want to suggest today that because all the cartoons relate to the May scandal, we look at them in totality and give our analysis thereafter.
Great.
Let us start with The Standard. DK.
Standard is still GMO. The first consignment, that is the caption there. And it is showing a worm showing, they're offloading the maize from, I think, the vessel that they said. And you can see the worm there with the face of Moses Kuria.
Protruding,
Yeah. And it appears that he's part of the consignment as well. Or he is the consignment.
or he's eating the maize.
Eating the maize already.
So the worm eats the grain.
Yeah.
Maybe alluding to the fact that this maize has worms. And these worms look like Moses Kuria. We don't know what they wanted to say.
Let's look at The Star from Ozone.
Star, you have 2 frames, cartoon caricature of Moses Kuria in one frame, and he says sometime next week we'll issue a gazette notice to start imports. Now, second frame is a vessel with the maize, and the caption is Mapema, but Mapema ndio best. I think this is quite being sarcastic. It's being sarcastic. The maize is here without a gazette notice.
Yeah, okay, quickly let's look at the Daily Nation. Here again we have the same image as most of the other cartoons. We have the vessel, which is the African Merlin ship bringing in the maize, and underneath at the bottom we have Moses Kuria looking very distressed. He looks like he wants to say something, but he's being told to shush.
And we cannot see who's telling him to shush.
We can't see who's telling him to shush. Yeah. But is he shushing? I guess he has been quiet.
He can't help himself.
Yeah, I guess maybe he has become the jester in RUTO's
government.
court.
Yes.
Yeah. I guess we'll never know the real story as to how the Gazette notice, before coming out,
Came to be.
yet the maze is already at the port.
Yeah.
I think we're going to require an answer at some point. But also in regards to the worm inside the maze, I think a lot of people were screaming state capture, right?
It's a nonsense cartoon. I think in my view. There's
Okay.
no need for a worm.
So we tossed the Standard. I think we also tossed the Daily Nation,
Star.
leaving us with the Star. I think that's quite a funny one from Ozone. So there you have it, a winning headline from the Star and a winning cartoon also from the Star. I want to leave you with a quote from Balthazar Gracian, who was a Spanish philosopher. He said, "Know how to make use of stupidity. The wisest man plays this card at all times. It is not much good being wise among fools and sane among lunatics. The best way to be received by all is to clothe yourself in the skin of the dumbest." I do not know who that quote is for, but I'm sure it will reach somebody somewhere. Maybe share it on WhatsApp. Don't forget you can find us on your TV screens. We're on Pine Free to Air, GoTV, and Star Times. Have a lovely evening, and we will see you here tomorrow.
God bless.